Out of this project, we're hoping that students will look at the portraits and will see in those portraits how these three people implemented the value of justice, and hopefully they'll be able to then work out a way of translating that into their own lives and the way that they go about being role models in the communities in which they find themselves.
The Living Justice Portrait Project feeds directly into the principles of living justice. It was my role to pull together a group of people who could inform the project control group around ways that we could continue our journey and our story once we built the new campus out at Stratton Road. One of the really significant things that we wanted to ensure was that the campuses had the same identity even though they were in different places. And so it was therefore very important for us to be able to find ways to connect with the young people who would be at the other campus and ensuring that they felt like they still belonged and they were part of the community here.
Our St. Joseph's story starts about 2,000 years ago with our Christian tradition, and then during that period of time, Daniel Delaney restarted the Brigidine Sisters as a result of the inspiration of St. Bridget, an Irish saint who worked for the poor people and the environment in the 5th and 6th centuries. Around about the same time that Daniel was restarting the Brigidine Sisters, a woman by the name of Nan O'Nagle was having a similar approach to helping the vulnerable people in Cork, and she started a group of sisters called the Presentation Sisters. In 1886, 4 Brigidine sisters arrived in Echuca and started St. Joseph's College. So then it was around that time that the Christian tradition through the Brigidines met the Aboriginal tradition, and that has a much longer story going back 60,000 years.
As a Catholic college, we're walking in the footsteps of the Jesus story, and we need people who've made that come alive for us. And these 3 people, Bridget, Nan O'Nagle and Daniel Delaney, are just some of the many people who've really lived out that Jesus message to the full. And so I hope that the young people who come through this school will see the energy and the courage and the creativity of those people living out the Jesus story.
What the 3 artworks say to me is that living justly is attainable, because these are 3 normal human beings who were living in the image of Christ, but they're perfect examples of what living justice is in terms of humanity and ecological justice.
I think it gives people hope, and it'll give the students hope about how everything started, and even with our Indigenous that's lived on this country for thousands and thousands of years. The Brigidine Sisters always wanted to make that connection with the Aboriginal people of Echuca and their community. The Brigidines really encouraged Aboriginal families to come here.
So in collaboration with Troy Firebrace, it's a priority that we give our thanks to the land and really capture the essence of the college, which is an acceptance of everyone as equals. You know, it is about the justice, and this is what St. Bridget stands for, is justice, equality, and basically being thankful and grateful for what has been here well and truly before any of us.
For Yorta Yorta people, and especially with St. Joe's being within the Yorta Yorta country, river people is what Yorta Yorta people are considered. And so streams, rivers, Murray, it has that notion of a flow-on effect. It has that notion of it's not a straight line. It's always very, wobbly. It's very much thick in one places and thin in other places. So within this artwork here, it's not only the use of pattern, it's not only the use of the lines, but it's also the capturing of the landscape within this artwork itself. So you will see that within the shapes, within the forms.
Very intricate detail is how I like to work with all of my artworks, and it's a spiritual journey. I'm very deep when it comes to being up close and personal with my artworks. I really like to do the research, map out the composition, but I also like to try and allow opportunity for mistakes to happen, for it to be, to take on its own art form or own life. So the way I work is very intricate, detailed, and I love colour, so I mostly work with a lot of colour.
What Alicia's done is she's packed so many narratives into the 3 portraits, so each one of them contains multiple stories and narratives. Every mark that Alicia makes is intentional. Every mark and symbol represents something within these artworks.
It's quite a journey to interweave all of these different narratives together, and I think this is what is so special about this, and I hope that it can be interpreted in many different ways.
We often look for answers within everything, where sometimes it's a bit like listening to a bit of beautiful music, that you just sit there and it becomes a calming influence. And I think artworks, and especially these artworks, can certainly do that. They've got the detail that could hurt your brain if you're trying to understand it all, but they've also got an aesthetic beauty that's harmonious, and therefore it becomes a really relaxing experience.
The authenticity of the artwork, the notion that yes, it has Indigenous elements in it, but it also elevates it to a new level of what this artwork represents. We are trying to develop an artwork that's not going to be an Indigenous artwork. We're trying to create something new, and that's what's important within this.
They're just evocative. They're very powerful, dynamic contributors to our long story here at St. Joe's.